You weren't born simply to exist. You were born to accomplish a purpose. But this purpose is locked within your potential, and this potential must be released by knowledge. You cannot pursue what you don't understand, and you cannot become what you don't know yet. You can. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to anchor a powerful truth in your heart today. Educate yourself daily. Education is not a building. It is not limited to a classroom, a diploma, or a certificate. Education is a mindset, a commitment to never stop growing, learning, becoming. The moment you believe your learning is complete, your relevance begins to expire. The world moves forward, knowledge expands, and your mission is too precious to be left behind. Every day you educate yourself, you erode ignorance and reveal a clearer image of who you are destined to become. The difference between where you are and where you could be lies in what you know. Your value in this world is linked to the problems you can solve, and you cannot solve problems with an empty mind. The greatest leaders in history were not necessarily the richest or most talented, but they were the best informed. They nourished their minds with truths, principles, ideas, and wisdom. Ignorance is not harmless, it is dangerous. It keeps people in cycles of poverty, fear, and defeat, not through lack of capacity, but through lack of awareness. It is not the external enemy that stops you, but the enemy of inner ignorance that limits you. This is why educating yourself is not optional, it is vital. When you educate yourself daily, you empower yourself to grow, rise, and lead. Every book you read, every lecture you listen to, every skill you learn adds value to your life. You may not see the change overnight, but the harvest always comes to those who consistently sow seeds of knowledge. Read to lead, read to think, read to rise. Leaders are readers because they know the mind must be nourished as much as the body. Your vision becomes more precise as you expose yourself to ideas, perspectives, and principles that challenge and expand your thinking. Discipline is the bridge between ignorance and excellence. You won't always feel like learning, but those who shape nations are those who train their minds even when no one is watching. Talent may open a door, but disciplined learning will allow you to stay in the room. Never forget that your greatest asset is not your job, your bank account, or your possessions. Your greatest asset is your mind. If you lose everything but keep a trained and educated mind, you can rebuild, you can recover, you can innovate. So I leave you with this mission. Educate yourself daily. Become a student of life. Read, ask questions, seek wisdom, invest in growth. Not because it's trendy, but because your mission demands it. Education is not a system, it is a mindset. This means that true education is not confined to buildings, institutions, exams, or formal programs. It is a way of thinking, a daily attitude that embraces growth, learning, and development in all areas of life. Many believe that once graduated, their education is complete, but this belief is a trap. True education begins when the system ends. It's what you do with your mind when no one is grading you, when no one is checking your attendance, when no one is assigning you homework. The system can give you information, but an educational mindset gives you transformation. Systems teach you to memorize. A mindset teaches you to apply. Systems can give you a certificate, but only a mindset can give you wisdom. The tragedy of our world today is that many have gone through the educational system but have never allowed the spirit of education to penetrate them. They have diplomas but no direction, qualifications but no purpose, information but no revelation. A person with a true educational mindset sees every situation as a classroom. Failure becomes a lesson, success becomes feedback, conversations become lectures, books become treasures. Good and bad experiences are seen as learning opportunities. This person does not wait to be taught. They seek knowledge, ask questions, challenge ideas, and grow through curiosity. They are always learning, always listening, always seeking ideas. They do not need a teacher to assign a lesson because life itself is their teacher, and they are an eager student. When education becomes your mindset, growth becomes your lifestyle. You begin to evolve mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and professionally. You no longer fear change. You welcome it because you know that each change brings new knowledge, and with new knowledge come new levels of power, influence, and purpose. This is why true education has nothing to do with the classroom and everything to do with commitment. It is not something you go through. It is something you become. Purpose unlocks through knowledge. Every person is born with a unique reason for existing, a specific mission to accomplish on this earth. But this purpose is not always obvious. It is not something you encounter by accident. It must be discovered and developed, and the only way to discover it is through knowledge. Knowledge acts like a key. Without it, your purpose remains locked within you, hidden under layers of confusion, fear, and distraction. But the more you learn, the more clearly you begin to see who you are, why you are here, and what you are capable of becoming. You cannot accomplish what you do not understand. A person without knowledge of their purpose will often live by reacting to life rather than directing it. They follow trends, opinions, and circumstances because they lack a clear internal compass. But when you begin to seek knowledge about yourself, about the world, about life's principles, you begin to discover the patterns that guide you towards your destiny. You discover your strengths, your passions, your values, and your gifts. These discoveries do not come from guesswork. They come from learning, reflection, reading, listening, asking questions, and paying attention to the clues life gives you. Knowledge exposes you to what is possible. It opens your eyes to opportunities you did not know existed. It introduces you to people, ideas, and visions that expand your thinking. The more you learn, the more you become the person your purpose requires. You begin to see how your experiences, even painful ones, can be used for something greater than yourself. Knowledge gives language to your vocation. It shapes your vision. It moves you from simply existing to living intentionally. Some people spend their lives searching for a purpose without realizing they must first seek knowledge. The two are linked. Knowledge builds confidence, and confidence leads to bold decisions aligned with purpose. The more you know, the more you can do. The more you can do, the closer you get to your calling. Purpose is not a mystery to be feared. It is a revelation to be discovered, and this discovery begins with the quest for knowledge. What you know determines how far you will go. This statement is a powerful truth about the role of knowledge in shaping your destiny. Your level of knowledge sets the limits of your growth, your opportunities, and your influence. No matter what potential you carry, without knowledge, this potential remains untapped. You can only rise to the level of your understanding. In other words, your future is not determined by your wishes, your origin, or your talents alone. It is determined by what you know and how you apply it. Every great achievement in life begins with an idea, whether in business, leadership, relationships, or personal growth. Your success is directly linked to the knowledge you possess. If you do not know how money works, you will struggle financially. If you do not understand people, you will fail in relationships. If you lack knowledge in your field, you will be overtaken by those who have invested in learning. Talent can give you a head start, but knowledge is what keeps you in the race. It gives you strategies, refines your decisions, and expands your capacity to manage and lead. The distance you travel in life is not determined by your intentions, but by your preparation. Preparation is rooted in knowledge, learning the principles that govern life, understanding the rules of your environment, and mastering the skills necessary to succeed in your mission. When you grow in knowledge, your perspective expands. You begin to see possibilities where others see problems. You begin to rise above the limitations that previously held you back because you now have the information and wisdom to overcome them. Ignorance is costly. It keeps doors closed and opportunities missed. But knowledge empowers. It gives you the ability to pass through doors that others cannot even see. This is why you must become a student of life, constantly learning, constantly growing. What you feed your mind today will determine the results you will experience tomorrow. The more you know, the more you can create, influence, solve, lead, and inspire. Your journey in life will only go where your understanding leads you. So, if you want to go far, you must choose to know more. Ignorance is the enemy of progress. It is not always external forces or lack of resources that hold people back. It is often what they do not know. Ignorance silently steals opportunities from people, weakens their decisions, and blinds them to possibilities that could transform their lives. It is dangerous because it does not announce its presence. You do not always realize that you are held back by ignorance until the consequences manifest in misfortunes, repeated mistakes, and unrealized potential. Progress in any area of life, whether personal, professional, financial, or spiritual, requires light, and this light comes from knowledge. When a person is in darkness, they cannot move forward confidently. They stumble, hesitate, or remain stagnant. Ignorance works the same way. It keeps people in a cycle of survival rather than success. You may have dreams, passion, and ambition, but without knowledge, you will not know how to build, how to plan, or how to lead. Dreams without knowledge become frustration. History is full of examples where ignorance has delayed entire communities and even generations. People perish not through lack of strength, but through lack of vision, and vision is born of knowledge. When you do not know your rights, you become vulnerable to exploitation. When you do not know your value, you settle for less. When you do not know your purpose, you waste time and energy pursuing things that leave you empty. Progress is not automatic. It is the result of informed choices, and informed choices require understanding. The most tragic form of ignorance is when people are not aware of what they do not know. They stop learning, stop asking questions, and stop growing. They become comfortable in their routines, even if these routines lead nowhere. But the moment you begin to seek truth, ask questions, and pursue wisdom, ignorance begins to lose its power. Every piece of knowledge you acquire becomes a step towards progress, a tool for transformation, and a weapon against limitation. Ignorance is not a weakness you must accept. It is a condition you can change, but it requires humility to learn and discipline to grow. If you want to progress in life, you must wage war on ignorance by feeding your mind with truth every day. Learning daily is empowering daily. Every day you choose to learn something new. You are not just adding information to your mind, you are adding strength to your life. Learning empowers you because it expands your ability to understand, solve problems, make better decisions, and lead with confidence. It prepares you for what you might face tomorrow, even if you cannot see it today. Every piece of knowledge acquired becomes a tool in your hands, a seed planted that will bear fruit in your future. Empowerment means having the ability to act, influence, change things around you. This ability comes from what you know. When you make learning a daily habit, you build a foundation of wisdom and insight that cannot be shaken by circumstances. You do not have to wait for the world to give you power. You take it by equipping your mind. Empowerment does not come from titles, positions, or applause. It comes from knowledge applied with discipline and purpose. And the only way to continue growing in this power is to make learning a daily lifestyle, not an occasional event. Each day brings new challenges, and yesterday's knowledge may not be enough for today's problems. This is why you must feed your mind daily. Just as your body needs food to stay strong, your mind needs learning to stay sharp. If you neglect it, your ability to lead, decide, and adapt weakens. But when you embrace learning every day, you become more aware, more strategic, and more effective in everything you do. This kind of daily empowerment is not just for personal gain. It positions you to help others, serve your community, mentor those coming behind you. A person who learns every day becomes a reservoir of wisdom where others can draw. You become a source of strength, direction, and inspiration for those around you. The most powerful people are not those who control others, but those who control themselves through knowledge, discipline, and continuous growth. So make learning a habit. Read, ask questions, seek understanding, for with each new lesson, you are not just becoming smarter. You are becoming stronger, better prepared, and more powerful. Empowerment begins in the mind and grows with every truth you choose to learn. Read to lead. This simple phrase carries a profound truth. Leadership is not about titles, positions, or popularity. It is about vision, influence, and wisdom. And these qualities are not inherited, they are developed. Reading is one of the most powerful ways to become a person who leads with clarity, depth, and direction. When you read, you are not just passing time or collecting facts. You are nourishing your mind, refining your thinking, and expanding your imagination. You are building the mental foundation that leadership demands. When you know how to think, how to reason, how to learn, you are never truly trapped. You can lose money and still rebuild. You can be overlooked and still rise, because the wealth in your mind cannot be stolen. It travels with you, grows with you, and multiplies when you share it with others. So make it a priority. Read, reflect, study, expand your thinking. Do not just fill your mind, develop it. For the greatest return you will ever receive does not come from what you have, but from who you become. And who you become is shaped by how you invest in your mind. In conclusion, life's journey is one of constant growth and discovery. And it is through daily learning, disciplined action, and investment in your mind that you unlock true power within you. Education is not a system, but a mindset, one that gives you the power to unlock your purpose, expand your potential, and lead with vision. What you know today shapes where you will go tomorrow. Ignorance keeps you stuck, but knowledge opens doors to new possibilities. Every small learning step is a step towards greater empowerment, and every disciplined choice propels you closer to your destiny. Remember that your mind is your greatest asset, and how you nourish it determines the impact you will have in this world. Invest in it, nourish it, and protect it, for your future depends on what you choose to learn and apply. Every great leader, innovator, and change agent has understood that their capacity to lead came from their commitment to constant growth. So let's commit today. Commit to learning, growing, and leading with purpose. Your future awaits, and it is shaped by the investment you make in yourself today. This is the end of this video. If you learned something new today, subscribe for upcoming videos. See you soon.